Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Can we have the ritual of MFRT?
Yes. Yes.
Can you all stand up, please, once?
Yes.
If you find this tough, there's a lot of things which are tough in life, actually. Okay, can we have it 3 times? MFRT का tempo high है? You begin. MFRT का tempo high है. MFRT का tempo high है. MFRT का tempo high है. Have a seat. It is often said, some of the pure, simple wisdom that we need to lead our life is right around us. It's just that we have to open our eyes and bring about the awareness which is required for the solutions that we need for everything. To begin with, just let me give you a brief of what I do. And because already we are a little running late, I'll try to cut down my program by 5 minutes as much as possible, and I'll keep it more interactive. To give you a brief what I do, basically I'm a motivational speaker. I'm an entrepreneur by profession. I'm into jewelry sector, so that's the bread and butter for me. And by passion, this is what I do. I go to schools, colleges, and I deliver speeches like these to different audiences. And the intent is simple. Let me explain that with a story to you. I came across 2 friends who met with an accident. And both of them lost one of their limb each. I met these 2 people after 1 year. To my surprise, one person was deep into depression and was having suicidal tendencies. On the contrary, the other person who was there was leading a relatively normal life, almost similar to what he was doing before the accident. When I asked them, why is it, or when I tried to understand what is the difference between these 2 people and why is it that there's such stark difference between the way they're leading their lives. When I asked the first person, he said that God blessed us with 2 hands. Everyone has 2 hands, and I don't have one. And that's the reason I'm not good. I asked the other person, what makes you in the state that you are? That's when he answered, God gave everyone 2 hands. I saw a lot of people with no hands. Literally doing anything and everything that people with 2 hands are doing. So I wonder, why is it that God has given us 2 hands when I can do just about everything with 1 hand? That's the point that I'm saying. The events, the situations, the experiences, the knowledge that you have, everyone has the same set of information. But the reflection that we get from the incidents that happen to us, the learnings that we pick up from the situations that you come across is what makes each one of you different. Right now, if I ask, how is this person different from this person? You will find in the answer, it's only the reflection. And that is what Living Life, the programs that we do, the underlying theme of the programs that we do is, our lives aren't defined by the facts of our life. It isn't the facts, but the reflection. Alter your reflection and take charge of your life. For the ones who are just taking the photo, I'm sharing this PPT which I'm delivering here with the organizers. I can mail it to you as well. So for the purpose of lack of distraction, you can avoid this. So just that, I don't intend to keep a copyright or anything like that, but just that you will have the copy of this presentation that we have. Okay, so that brings me to the agenda of the program. What am I here for? Literally speaking, right now if I take off everyone's phone and open your WhatsApp, open your Facebook, open your LinkedIn, the knowledge, the gyan that you need to lead a life is right there. To a large extent, 90% of what I will be saying is already there in your phones, in your head. The limitation is not that. The limitation is how and why are we applying that. That's the reason today we don't have a crisis of knowledge. Everyone has Google. What are we having a challenge of? We are having a challenge of skills. Skill is how you are going to apply that. How are you going to live that? That is where the challenge is. Knowledge has been replaced with Google. Thanks to Google Baba that we have. Anything that you want to answer for, you go to Google and you have an answer. Today if I am asking you, what is the capital of Zimbabwe? That's knowledge you may not have now, but you go to Google and within a span of 5 seconds you will have an answer for that. But if I ask you, do you know swimming? Can you gain that? Can you gain that with Google?
No.
Today a lot of education happens with this perspective of writing exams, writing knowledge or having that knowledge and just putting it across. But we are limited with the skill set that is required. So anything that you have knowledge of, remember, it's useless. Not literally useless, but that's where it starts. The limitation is we end there. We think I have this knowledge and that is what is required to succeed in life. That's where the biggest myth is. We need to convert anything that you know to the skill. Today we are talking of rules. Example, we talk of some rule coming up that okay, you should not cross the signal at red light. You are educated enough to know that you should not be crossing at red light. But what do you do? Why do you do? The reason is because the skill, the logic that you are applying to your own mind, the thought process that you are having in your mind, and the reasoning that you give to yourself. We fail because we are not applying that as a skill. That is where the challenge lies. And here, let me begin with this thing that I am not going to give you anything new. You have all the gyan that you need. I am only going to give you a perspective in the world that you are in. This program has been designed as a result of two things. One, the last 14 years of me being into this motivational training, and the second one being, more importantly, the world that you are in. I was luckily part of this world in a different facet. I've been an equity research analyst for UBS in the KPO division that is there in Hyderabad. And luckily enough, I've had this experience of understanding what the markets are. So I'm not challenging anyone's gyan on what or how the markets operate. But I'm rather relying on the wisdom that you know of how the markets operate and tell you that parallelly, the principle that applies to the market is something that applies to life as well. And so the focus of this session is going to be lesser about you as a role, as a financial advisor, or as a profession, or as a career, and more as what your life is and how you're going to lead it. So with this, let me begin with a disclaimer. One of my trainees' wife called me a few days back after a program was done, and she called me and she was asking me, she was confused, what did you teach him in the program? That since yesterday night when he came back, he has been constantly staring at me and not speaking a word. I'm not sure why he's doing that. Can you please tell me what did you teach him that he's doing that? I said, I'm not sure what I taught as such, but we were doing a success program and I told him to face your fears. I just told him to face your fears. Why I'm saying that is because I trust the wisdom where you're going to use it. Because in life, there are many things that I'm going to share here. You could be using the very example, the theory or the thought process or the principle to some place elsewhere. God bless you for that. I trust that you have that wisdom of where you're going to apply what. Because in life, to a large extent, this is what happens. This is what happens in life. One theory which is applicable at one place may not necessarily apply elsewhere. So people in the market say, go contra, go do something different, do something different. Last time I did this program somewhere, I told them be there to do something different, and that's when he got a challan at his home. Everyone was going in one way, he was going the other way around, and he got a challan at his home. So the objective of why I'm saying this is because it's life, and there's a lot of ifs and buts and controversial aspects where the perspective that you are getting is something that is of your own. So here while I'm talking with the next learnings that I've got, I'm sharing here 6 life lessons that we have learned from the market principles which are applicable. You apply those principles accordingly in other facets of your life. That is what the idea of this program is. And it's candid. We are not talking of any gyan or serious thought process, even if there's something debatable with regard to the financial wisdom or the principle that I'm talking of. Please excuse me, it's been 6 years I've done the stock market. So you can forgive me for if at all any principle that I'm talking of is wrong. But the idea that I'm talking of is what I want you to think of. The first thing, here I'm banking on what I did as a financial research analyst. The first thing, what do we do as an advisor or as a financial research analyst? What do? We advise. We make decisions. We give decisions or we give our perspective. And how do we do that? We do it on the basis of data, our understanding, and a few assumptions. The last one is important because the data can be extracted by anyone, understanding can be built by experience. The assumptions are what is controversial at any point in time. Today, if I ask you where the market will be after 1 year, you will have one answer, you will have one answer, you will have one answer. That's how life is. In the hindsight, you can tell this was right, this was wrong, but what you are assuming as of this date is something which is critical, and that is where you as an advisor and me as an analyst, while I was writing reports, I was telling that okay, buy this company or sell this share or hold this share. One thing that is very important in this perspective is in decision making is people do not buy a stock, do not buy a mutual fund, they buy you. Today if I ask you which car do you have, sir? Regular hatch, any specific car? It's a B. Any car? Which car do you have? I-10, okay. Now the reason I ask is that you have 10 different brands of cars in the market. Each one catering to a different objective, and some they are very similar, but still both of them sell. Why do you think so? A Beat is also selling, a Spark or some other in the same segment is also selling. Why? Okay.
Maybe a few points of comfort or some edits which are coming.
Okay. Why? Features. One perspective, one of the most important thing in selling that you will come across is the fact that people don't buy the product. People buy the one who's selling. Look at the influence that your child has, or your brother has, or your father has on what you're doing. On anything that you want to purchase, what are you or who are you looking up to? Who's influencing you? It's not purely what the product is. And in the product, there's a lot of assumption with regard to the third element of assumption which is there of how is it going to be. So people don't buy stocks. They buy your conviction. They buy your confidence. That is where each one of us are able to sell or generate our business in a different way. Now here my concern is less of the data or the decision in itself. You have had 2.5 days of lots of knowledge with regard to what is there in the market, how the markets are operating, what are the challenges that they are facing. Here my challenge as a motivational speaker is often that people have a challenge of decision paralysis. They don't make decisions. They fear. They have all the knowledge that they have all the strategies, they have everything in place, but still they fear making the decision. Why?
They kind of have a small doubt. What if?
Okay.
गलत हो गया तो?
गलत हो गया तो? Why people fear making decisions?
So they may go wrong.
They may go wrong. Fear is there. They have seen their past decisions not work out.
No knowledge, no confidence.
No knowledge, no confidence. Again, here, my perspective here is more of the assumptions part of it. And here, let me move out of the financial markets. You talk of getting into relationships. You talk of committing to something that you are interested in your personal development. Or, for example, take this MFRT conference 2019. How many of you all might have had contacted or are in touch with people who wanted to attend but still did not? The thought process that went in, पैसे का वर्थ है नहीं है, कैसा होगा पता नहीं, इतना पैसा डालना है नहीं है. What will be the reasoning? And sometimes just lethargy. Now here I'll just give 3 logics or 3 theories which are there which help people in decision making. First thing, fear of failure. One of the biggest factor you will realize seeing in the markets is that you won't get it right every time. But you have to make the decisions to get something right. You have to make the decisions. Unless you make the decisions, how many times have you come across a situation where you thought this was an excellent idea but didn't act on it? In the hindsight, you laugh over it that okay, I missed this opportunity. But there are many times in life that we come across. You talk of relationships, you talk of maybe a girl or maybe investing in yourself in the learning part of it, or the conference last year, this year you're here. last year if you wanted to attend this conference and you were just thinking, unless you come here, unless you invest that much, how will you know whether it's good, right, wrong, bad? One has to experience, one has to commit. Let me give you the most successful people, individuals across the world in any field. You talk of Warren Buffett, you talk of Indian Rakesh Jindal, or you talk of the companies, you talk of cricketers, you talk of film stars. How many film stars have a movie, every movie has a hit? But they do movies and only then you realize you have to commit into things to get to know whether it will be successful or not. The first thing. Second thing, hindsight trauma. We often have this. You will exactly get, for the men, the right choice of the girl that you want to marry after you have got engaged. You will always know that this was the right stock to be in the hindsight. In the hindsight, when you look at decisions, when you look, the regret which is there is a result because you look at things in an ideal situation. In life, really a lot of things don't operate in that way. Here in the stock markets, we have an example that okay, this worked and this didn't work. Example, if I was married to someone and I think okay, if I had married her, looking at her, how happy she is, I would also be happy. You don't know the journey that they have gone through. Today, if I want to go from here to the airport, if I take and wait at a signal where traffic is there, I decide okay, I'll take a left. After taking a left, if you're struck, what happens? What do you think? Maybe that road was better. This is what creates an anxiety or a thought process where you regret everything that you are doing, and that is the most negative aspect that affects you. That is what you have to limit. And the third thing, implied decision. Every time remember, now the people who have come here, who aren't here, they have already made a decision. Whenever you talk of any decision, there are two parts of it, and one is the implied decision. Every decision that you're not taking is also making a choice. Today, if I'm talking of you want to invest 10 lakhs somewhere, and you are still making a decision whether it should be a debt fund or an equity fund or should I go for SIP or what. Till the time you are deciding that you're getting that FD or bank savings interest rate only, you're only getting that. There is a risk. If you want to hold, have a conviction that okay, I'm holding this for next 2 months and after that I'll decide. But the issue is, it is pure lethargy that we go on and we constantly let go of the opportunities, not realizing there's an implied cost in it. There's often a very good saying which says that you are in life, whenever you talk of decisions, you are on a checkered board where you're always, if not anything, where you're always playing against time. And that is what you're losing out every time that you're not making a decision with the fear of what will happen or why it will happen and what will be the repercussion of it. So with that, one of the greatest mistake is to not make a decision at all. And as Peter said, in this business if you're good, you're right 6 times out of 10. You're never going to be right 9 times out of 10. So you have to make decisions, you have to keep committing, you have to make mistakes. It's often said, life works on a law of averages. The more mistakes you make, the higher is the chance of you to succeed. Here it might not be applicable with your client's money, but I'm talking of how you are proceeding with your life. When I look at stock prices, when I look at stock market, I look at prices and the company as two different things. When you look at price, what is price is a perception, is a reflection of what people think of what the company is. That is where the biggest challenge in our life is. When you start thinking, I am the price itself, the price decides who I am, that is when the challenge starts. We have to constantly keep thinking that what am I doing, and the result of what is happening is the result of what I am doing. Warren Buffett often says it. If a business does well, the stock will follow. Opinions are like share prices. The important thing is, there's always someone thinking, if today you're selling a retail share or you're selling some mutual fund, there's someone who's buying it. There's a greater full theory which says that anything that you're buying, you believe you're smart and so you're buying. But there's always someone who's selling that to you. Yes, no? That is where we have to challenge ourselves and think that for everything that you think, whether you want to invest or don't invest, there'll always be someone, some chacha, uncle, auntie who will tell, don't do that. Someone will tell you, MBA अच्छा है करो. The second day after you join MBA, they'll say, आजकल engineering का trend चल रहा है. One of the biggest challenge we have to understand is the inner world has to be in sync with what you believe in. Unless that is there, volatility, what it will do is, why people fail in businesses, in stock market? What is the golden rule of stock market? You buy low, sell high. But the reason what happens is that when you have bought at 100 rupees and the share price goes up and down, and it's at 90, what do you think? What do you think? It may go more down. It may move. At 110 you'll think you'll be happy, but you are not booking your profits. But at 90, what you'll start fearing is that जो डाला है वो भी जाएगा, शायद गलत था, वो देखो वो 94 पे ही है 100 से, so शायद वो अच्छा है उसमें डाल देता. The reason you think of that is when you don't have a conviction of your idea of what you think. This is what happens. This is the biggest challenge that we face, that we leave ourselves vulnerable to what people think. I'm not making people rebel. Today the challenge that a lot of parents find is that they find their children turning out to be rebels. What we are not saying is that don't listen to anyone. Listen, but what you soak into yourself is something that you have to see where what fits into your model, where someone is just a couch commentator or someone is coaching. If someone tells you, look, okay, don't do this, do it this way, or don't do this. The issue is that you have to see that, tell me what to do. If you have an answer for that, then tell me. Sitting in the couch, today Dhoni didn't play well in the World Cup semi-finals, or today there will be 1 billion people who have a comment on that. What happened, why it happened, what should have been done, how it should have been done. You look at Facebook, you look at all the chats which go on after one result or one decision. Everyone has an opinion. Tell me what you can do. Tell me how I can improve. Tell me the solution of what needs to be worked out. That is when I learn. So I'll just quickly skim through this. The company works and the analyst test me. The important thing you need to understand that you are working and as a result people are telling their opinion. The only time when people will stop giving their opinion is when you're dead. We have already had a lot of discussion about this. The context. Let me ask you all, how often do we have company results? Quarter? Earlier there were companies which were giving half yearly. There are private sector companies which are not, or giving once in a year audited results and all those things. Why do we need to have? Why can't we have it in 1 year? Then why can't we have it in 1 month? You understand the difference? The important thing is we need to constantly assess where we are headed to, what we are doing and how we are doing it. Unless you have an assessment of anything that you're doing, your relationships, a lot of relationships just are drifting away. With this perspective, they're just drifting, they're just staying into the relationship and 20 years of marriage, 40 years of marriage, they're just there. सुबह खाना बनता है, खेले जाता है, खाते हैं, रात को जाके सो जाते हैं. What's the point of that relationship if it doesn't grow? If it doesn't help you evolve yourself and evolve the other person? The important thing is we need to constantly assess everything. Assess your health. They often say after 30 or after 35, have a health checkup every time. Do you do that? The reason why it is important is because you may not have any problem right now, but unless you assess that, you will not know. For every target or every goal that you're setting, you have to have points where you're going to assess them. So the important thing is you have to be in context. A lot of issues or tips happen in relationships is because we are not in context. We look at returns in an absolute way. Today if I'm saying Infosys share is up 0.3%, is it good or bad? Is it good or bad? It looks okay, but I tell you, this is the result. 0.3% or less than 1%. Infosys was up, while the entire market was bleeding on the day Satyam scam was announced. So how do you look at that 0.3% now?
Gives a ray of hope.
Gives a ray of hope. It talks of also the brand of what it stood for, and that's where the difference happened between it and Satyam. What we need to understand is we need to put into perspective, put in context whatever we are doing, and that is when you will find an answer in a justified way. Today if you are fighting with someone, you go home and you find your wife screaming. If you look at it in the absolute way, you will bombard back. But if you give it a pause and think of what is happening, why is it happening, and ask, what happened? some issues, some problems. Discuss it out. That's when you know the context and suddenly everything makes sense. Today if you're driving a car and some car is going slow ahead of you, you're suddenly very freaked out. What is happening? Why is she going so slow? And suddenly while you're just crossing over, you see that there's someone who's aged 75 who's driving that car. Perception changes. You have to put context into place for anything that you're doing. The reason why a lot of issues that we come across is because we look at things out of context. And that is where a lot of challenges are. Once you try to understand or try to find the context, you will find the answers to most of the things. So as I said, you need to constantly, in everything, every facet of your life, you talk of your health, you talk of your relationships, you talk of your career, the important thing is to stop drifting into things. Is to constantly have one checkpoint where you get back to it and understand what is happening and why is it happening. Because I've come across a lot of people in 50s and 60s suddenly ask, जिंदगी कब चली गई पता नहीं, कब आए कब जा रहे हैं, अभी तो जाने का टाइम भी आ गया, पता भी नहीं चल गया कैसे टाइम वक्त निकल गया. अगर चेक पॉइंट रखे होते, क्वार्टरली रिजल्ट रखे होते, तो हर क्वार्टर के बाद पता चल जाता है कहाँ तक पहुंचे. That is what we need to do. I'll just quickly move on from here. One of the basic principles of the stock market is investing. Markets are made for you to make return, or as Warren Buffett said, the stock market is designed to transfer money from the active to the patient. That is where people who are constantly transactional in nature are the ones who are to eventually lose. Have you ever observed how if you go on a zigzag driving in a traffic, you will actually realize after 5 minutes, the same car which was there ahead of you is right beside you. You have to have that patience and to build anything. Did you know Warren Buffett's wealth which is there today, he had less than 3% of wealth what he has today at the age of 52. And he began investing at the age of 11, which he says he was late. He began his investing career at the age of 11 and till the age of 52, he was having less than 3% of wealth that he has today. So you talk of 40 years of investment, and that's when you get to see the returns. Today, we are impatient like hell, wherein we look at returns the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year. We are so impatient that every day morning, what's my portfolio? What's my portfolio? How much has it grown? We don't have the conviction or the trust in our investment. And we are looking at returns that are so fuzzy and so early. All good things take time. All great things take perseverance. Passing of time is no game at all. What you need is to build the trust in whatever you are investing, whatever business you might be in, whatever your relationships are there. Today I've been into my marriage for more than 10 years now. If I would be able to survive, it's because we have seen the ups and downs. Had it been like an investment, in the downs I would have thought, kya kar diya, sir phod liya. But today I'm able to enjoy the ups only because I sustained through those downs. You look at your personal development. Today the issue is that people when they join gym, after 2 days, after 2 days, the gym काम नहीं कर रहा है, machine खराब है. They are looking for instant results, and that is where the age-old wisdom is being lost out, that you can ever be successful only by investing, not by trading constantly. There are traders who are good, I don't deny that. But if you look at people who are successful in the world, you'll find less than 5 people who have been successful trading. The remaining 95% who are successful are by investing. And for investing, you have to see the cycles through. Today, if you're talking of market has come down from 12,000 to 11,000, what's the thought process? What are you thinking? You are relaxed if you have the conviction of what you have done. Every day, the objective should be you have to keep assessing, and every day a little more, a little faster, and a little better should do the magic. And I'll quickly pass through this. Like the markets are interconnected. Today, you can't have a currency market which is going like we had the time when we were talking of 75, 80, and you have the equity market, you have the US market, You have the world's markets which are connected. The important thing to understand is that they are connected and they operate in a connected fashion. You can't be having one market which is flourishing and the other one which is deep down bleeding. That is how, what I believe the 4 pillars of our life are: the career, the health, the family and the self. Each of these pillars are the important aspects which are there, like the 4 pillars of a chair. The 4 legs of the chair, it's like that. That is where we need to understand that one leg, there will be times, I've seen people, let me tell you, I've seen people working for 18 hours a day for 5 days a week. But the rest of the 2 days, there's no utter word of the work. You will have imbalances. I can't be expecting that, okay, for a day, spend 6 hours here, 6 hours here, 6 hours here, and 6 hours here. They'll never be like that. Why do people talk of vacations? Why do you call, there are people who are having compulsory vacations in the corporates. So here, as I would say, to close this, the markets are more like what Ravi Chundunwala says. Markets are like women, always commanding, mysterious, unpredictable, and volatile. And let me warn you, with due respect, I have 4 women by my side. One my mother, one my wife, one my sister, and one my daughter. And let me tell you, they are all unpredictable. The worst thing that you can ever expect with life is to be predictable. The least when you'll be expecting, you'll be hit with Satyam, you'll be hit with Brexit, you'll be hit with demonetization. That is the reality, and the only way you can engage or enjoy life truly is by embracing it. Once you embrace the things that are facing, once you're openly accepting whatever comes through, that is only when you can actually enjoy. And all I would say to close with is, we cannot change the cards we are dealt with, only how well we can play with it. And that is where you can be the master of your life. Thank you.